Hi, I'm Lynn ISSA, and for this presentation, I'm gonna talk about the models that I worked on during the past few weeks. In Heidegger's article Building Dwelling Thinking, the bridge is described as an element to gather the fourfold. Therefore, Heidegger is creating a relation between building and dwelling. Grierson used Heidegger's bridge to show that even though it's only a thing, it's capable of connecting unrelated elements together. The bridge as a thing, as a building, is able to connect us to the fourfold and the fourfold to us. To sum up everything that has been stated so far, we can say that the bridge unlocks a locale for the exact purpose of dwelling, as it gathers the fourfold to allow a site for it. In this slide, I added my first two attempts of the RIG4 model, where we had to embody our code, the code that we chose from the article, and my code was, if we take the bridge strictly as such, it never appears as an expression. The bridge is a thing and only that. Only as this thing it gathers the fourfold. So in the first picture I was trying to show an image of a bridge. So the paper roll is basically representing the bridge. The stick on the right is not going in the paper roll, it's extending as it's trying to reach the sky, which represents the divinities. Because the elements of the fourfold are earth, sky, mortals, and divinities. And then I tried to cut and fold the A7 paper in a way to show that it's gathering and assembling the earth and the sky. Okay, so in this slide, we can see my two RIG4 models, my last two trials that really embodies my code. So I used the A7 paper plane as an elevation for the paper roll to be able to add a stick below it representing Earth and the mortals, and then another stick by slitting the roll. So the second stick is connected to the stick that is placed underneath the roll to show that it is in a way gathering the fourfold. In this next slide, my first attempt of the RigN model are shown by a picture and a video. So when I activate the mechanism, the balsa plane is basically, it's like a gate that is closing, that is trying to connect the sky and Earth. Earth here is represented by the lower part, and sky is represented by the upper part and the paper plane on the left. So when the gate closes, it's assembling and connecting sky to Earth, but then when it reopens, it's like taking the mortals and connecting them and let them meet the divinities. And here my second trial of the Rig model, which I will be explaining more and elaborating more about it in the video placed in the last slide of this presentation. So here are some close-ups of this Rig model, and here's a video of how the mechanism works. For the conceptual drawing of this model, I have decided to include the two main elements that are present in my Rig model, but the bottom part, I have represented them normally. So I normally drew the paper plane and the cylinder with its sticks and other paper plane, but so it's like showing the beginning of the mechanism. The mechanism hasn't started yet, but in the upper part of my drawing, I kind of connected these two same elements to show their state after the mechanism has already happened. So after it has gathered the elements of the fourfold that are represented in my model. In this picture, I still can find peace, and peace is in the fact that we can still recognize the silos even if they are half destroyed. They remained even after the explosion and despite the strength of the blast. In these two pictures, we can see the ashes, the ruins, and the traces from after the explosion and the blast. So just by looking at them, we can feel everything that we already felt when it happened. So they are trying to convey sad emotions. In this next slide, we can observe a state of elevation to show the resistance of the silos that are still there even after the explosion and to show the force of the explosion. And this is the current state of the port. This is how our destroyed and demolished port looks today after the explosion. The element that inspired me the most was sand, because when I look at the pictures of the port, I immediately look at the ruins and the weight, so the in situ, and for the ex situ, I found a machine that is called the Industrie d'Amico Sandstone Horizontal Cutting Machine that might help to reconstruct and rebuild the port. And finally, I'm gonna be presenting a short film of me explaining more about my last Rig
model. Decided to place these two elements on the two ends of my base. This part is actually extracted from my Rig 4 model, but here is representing earth and mortars. And this part, which is made out of a cardboard plane, is representing sky and divinities. So by activating the mechanism, which I did using the roll, two sticks and plastic threads, these two parts are gonna be pushed up to meet in the middle of this element, which is an abstract form of a bridge, and is placed in the middle of my base to represent the center and the axis of my whole model. So now I'm gonna activate and pull up the two elements. Okay, so when these two elements are about to meet in the middle of my model, the two sticks that are on the roll are like trying to reach the plane. So as I already said earlier that this part is representing Earth and mortals. It's like Earth and mortals are trying to reach sky and divinities. So by setting the roll, the plane was able to fit in it, and it's like connecting to it to show what my code says, that the bridge is able to gather the elements of the fourfold, which are sky, divinities, earth, and mortals. And that's what I wanted to show in my model using mechanism. Thank you.